Hello, let's talk about expected outcomes today. So some data mining and report writing is done for expected outcomes. These are outcomes that are either known or you're fairly certain what the outcome will be. So if you already know the outcome, why even do the data mining? That's a great question. First, let's talk about expected outcomes and certain outcomes. Certain outcomes have a known value. For example, 2 plus 2 is always 4. This is an outcome you can easily prove, and every time you have 2 and you add 2 more to it, you will always get 4. If you come up with 5, well, there's a problem with your data. Expected outcomes have strong circumstantial or observable information that give a pretty good idea what the data is going to tell you. So look at the glass in the picture. If I measure the volume of water in that glass, I can expect to get a value between 45 and 50% of the total volume of what the glass holds. If the data in the report tells me that the glass is 75% full, I know that data is wrong. My eyes can see. There's no way that's 75% full. Okay, so let's bring these ideas into the real world. If you walk past the ultrasound waiting room and it's packed every day, and you hear the ultrasound techs in the break room complaining about working overtime to catch up on the backlog of cases, and you hear the schedulers talking about how unhappy patients are being scheduled for appointments 3 months out, what's the obvious conclusion here? Hopefully, you came to the conclusion that there's been a significant increase in ultrasound exams that is overloading the current capacity, and that will be obvious to everyone who observes it. But it won't be obvious to these people. Because the hospital executives in the admin building won't see those things. So when the radiology director wants to add more staff to the ultrasound department or buy more ultrasound carts, he or she can't simply walk into the boardroom and say, "Hey, here's a pic I took on my phone of the waiting room, so you see it's really bad down there. We need to get more staff and more carts." That's not going to work. The radiology director is going to need to make a report full of data and have a great presentation to show the executives what everyone in radiology already knows. Hey, we need help in ultrasound. So that's how you end up mining data with a certain or expected outcome. The data you gather and present should easily match what you've already observed. That the procedure volume in ultrasound is rapidly rising. If the data you have doesn't show there's a problem, then there's a problem with your collection or measurement tools. So data and reports for expected outcomes are generally used to make a point to justify some course of action. Whether it's buying more ultrasound cards or adding new procedure codes or buying more storage drives, it's always about using data to bring the obvious to the uninformed. So when you're gathering data for an expected outcome, this may sound crazy, but you need to make sure the data actually demonstrates the outcome. Keep in mind the purpose of this type of report is to educate people about a situation they are completely unaware of. If your data is weak, it's easily taken apart, doesn't clearly show the issue, you won't get the funding for more ultrasound cards. If the glass is half full, the report should clearly indicate that the glass is half full. Last but not least, don't alter, massage, enhance, or in any way screw with the data to make it come out the way you want. If you fudge the numbers, I guarantee you that some clever accountant will spot the changes and you won't get your funding. Worse, no one will ever trust your data again, and you probably made your boss look like an idiot. I've seen busy analysts who are overworked and overwhelmed take shortcuts in their data gathering and report writing because after all the outcome is certain. And then the executive board destroys their data and consequently their reputation. If you're the person gathering and presenting data, make sure it stands up to these 3 things. 1, it tells the story. Whatever you're trying to illustrate, the data should clearly show it. It's logical. It makes sense, particularly against what you know the outcome should be. And 3, the math adds up. If the math in your data adds up, you're golden. If the math is faulty, you're going to get eaten alive. So that's all about expected outcomes. Thank you for watching.